All right, this video is going to be on for Azure on Mac, deploying a validator through an automated way to the Azure cloud. It doesn't include anything with onboarding or any of those steps. It's really just if you've either decided to use Azure and you want to deploy your validator, or you want to test out Azure if it's the right fit for you. Okay, so the link will be in the description for this repository here. And so once you're in the repro, you're going to come down here, and this guide is for Macintosh, not Windows, for Azure. So I'm going to click on the Mac icon here. Okay, the start here is there's 3 steps, 4 steps, but 3 steps in the prerequisites here. The first one is you need to either create a new Azure account, or if you already have one, you can click on this link. It's going to take you to a start for free. You can get $200 free credit for Azure for a month, and so you should see this view here. You can either sign in here, or you can select no account, create a new one to get that $200 free. And yeah, you should come to here, which is create account, and then you can either use an existing one, like a personal one, or if you want to separate an account out with a new email address, you can create one here as well. Then click next, and you'll go through some personal information and finish out, and you'll have your Azure set up. The second step is you've got to pick a region for where you want to deploy the actual validator. Technically, it can be anywhere in the world that you want. So to do that, click on this link here, and when you click on that link, it should bring up this pretty cool interactive view of all the Azure data centers across the globe. Now, from the instructions there, it said go and look at a region that suits you, and then find one of these green or turquoise dots here, and pick one of these. Through the guide, I'm going to use Sweden Central as an example, but yeah, pick one. If you were in North America, then and you were in Canada, then hey, like, and Canada Central made sense to you, or Canada East, pick one of these. There's no Canada West here, so that's an option. Or with East US, you're going to pick the East US, or the more closer to DC option of East US 2. If you're in South America, the closest one would be Brazil South. Not Brazil, but Brazil South. You got to pick something where it's this green dot, not white, just just the green. So once you've decided on that, then come back to the guide, and step 3 is to pick a machine size. So if you click on this link, there's a bit of reading here. You can either read through it all, or you could, I do have a suggestion, a sort of in between type that I think could be a good fit for most people for now. But here's the way I would break it down: is at the top here, the general purpose. If this is, they're a little cheaper, so if money per month is a concern right now, for a lot it could be, maybe you want to pick something in here with 4 virtual CPUs and 8 gig of physical memory, one of these SKUs. But if that money is, the extra 10, 20, $30 a month is not going to be on top of the already $100, then somewhere around these two, nothing below this, but the memory optimized or compute optimized. I picked something in the middle, which was, I went into compute optimized, and then I looked at the F2V 2 series. FSV2 series. And then if I scroll down here, you can see the second one here is the one I referenced to in the guide, standard F4S V2. You can see that the CPU is 4 and the memory is 8, and then all the way to the right here, you can see here it's 10,000 megabits, so it's 10 gig expected, you know, up to max network, which is decent enough for this. All right, so but you can read through all that and pick something that suits you. If not, you can go with what I have in the guide. So once you have those two input values, the region and your compute size decided, and your account, then you can go into step 4, which is actually deploying, setting it up to deploy. You need to be a local administrator on the on your Mac machine. In here, I just put review each step carefully and check your steps versus the image and don't rush. It should take around 30 minutes, so give yourself an hour and just, yeah, as I say, double check that I have all the text outputs. I have the images of all the steps to make it nice and convenient. Okay, so if we look at step 1 here, which is step 1 is to download some tools. So download Homebrew by clicking on this image here. So I'm going to do that. Okay, I'm going to download another tool required, which is Terraform. So I'm going to click on that one. And then I'm going to scroll down to F, and the next is to download some of the code that I wrote for this, which is in Terraform. So I'm going to click on this image here, and you can see the download.zip. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to continue here to step 2, which is install the packages I just download. So run terminal from Launchpad and type another command here, another tool to install. So I'm going to follow this, and I'm going to go across to Launchpad. You may have another way to open terminal, and that is fine. But up in here, the guide tells me to type in terminal and then run terminal. Okay, so I'm running terminal now, so I'll go down to the next step. If you notice here, I have put into this GitHub repo some nice little copy and paste links here. So you can just click on that and then come across to terminal and paste into terminal and then run it. So, all right, so I'm looking, now I'm starting to do that take my time, compare, and I'm looking at the images that I know work. So I'm gonna just scroll down here, and it says for me to click on install, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I think it said to select all the defaults, so I'm going to agree to that. And then note this can take a long time, so I'm just going to pause the video here and come back when this is done, because it does say the 40 minutes here, so I'll come back when it's finished. That took a lot longer to install than I thought, but it's done. And I'm going to click done there and continue through the guide here. The next step is to open Finder and navigate to the downloads directory. Okay, so I have Finder here, and in the left hand side you're going to see this downloads directory. Okay, and I can see the next step here is to install Homebrew from the downloads folder. So I'm going to run this. Just check that image. Yep, there we go. Just going to double click on that and continue, and just agree with the licensing and click install. Alright, so it's asking me for the and password to this machine. Okay, so once this is installed, the next step here in G here, you can see, okay, close that. I'm just going to keep that. The next step here is to install the Azure CLI, the Azure Command Line Interface. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go back to terminal here, and I'm going to paste that in. Okay, it looked like this image here, and then I'm expecting it to go through. Okay, I already have it installed on this machine, but that's okay. You should see it look like this image here. All right, next move on to, oops, we need to move a Terraform file from one directory to another. So I'm going to just click here, and I'm going to go back to terminal here. I'm going to paste that in like so, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay. The next step here is authorizing against the Azure account. All right, so I'm going to copy this next step here, type this command, and so I'm just going to copy and paste that in to move to a different directory. CD downloads Azure main. Okay, I can see now that I'm in Azure main down here. I'm just going to clear the screen here just so it's at the top. It makes it a little cleaner. Okay. All right, authorize to your Azure account using the email and password by typing AZ login and hitting enter. So copy that, paste that here. Okay, I see the yellow text here. All right, so you are going to, yours is going to look like this. And you're going to type yeah, you're going to type in or copy and paste in your email account. So I'm going to do that here. It doesn't let me, so I'm just going to go back to the account. This is the account I'm using here, and I'm going to put in the password here, and you're going to do the same for your account. Okay. I'll just pause the video and come back when I have the password in. Okay, after entering the password there, it's asking me to sign in using a cell phone here. So again, you should have multi-factor authentication on the Azure account. So instead of just a password, you've got a authentication key that will be sent to your cell phone. All right, I'm just going to go back to the documentation here so we can follow along here. It said a web browser should open, which we saw that. We enter the email and password, and once successful, you should see this window here in step D, which it looks like this. So I'm going to go, that's what I got. I'm going to close that. If you get a message about no subscription found, run steps from B to D above once again. And once successful, move to step 7, even though it should be step 5 there, but we'll just move on. I'll change that typo. All right. This is saying here, very important step here, take your time, it needs to be done correctly. So one thing is I'm just going to clear the screen here again. And it's telling me to take the time here, so all right, let's click on this and we're going to type Terraform in it. Initialize here, we're going to paste that, and it said here it can take a little while, so we'll hit enter here. And I see the Terraform modules are being pulled down to this local Mac machine, which is what we expect and want. And at the bottom here, we're expecting Terraform has been initialized or been successfully initialized, which I see here, and we're good to move on to the next step. Okay, so copy and paste the following command. Okay, so I'm going to do that, this command here. Alright, so this command should list all the current Azure regions around the world. Earlier we picked that region, whichever one you wanted, so now from this list, copy your region in this format. So if you wanted to deploy in Sweden Central, from that image, that it's going to be, the format should be this, not Sweden, not Sweden space Central. And there's another example here for Brazil. So let's jump across here and paste that command in here. Okay, I see here these are all the regions, but not all of these will work because they're not all actual data center regions that you can deploy instances and resources to. So for example, here's this Canada region, but it's not really a region. This is the actual data center region, which is Canada Central, and I know Canada East is one as well. So let's scroll down here. Okay. The next step here is once you've picked your region and your matching name here, we can move on. So let's go back here and we're going to copy this, which is the Terraform plan command. So I'm going to paste that in. All right. Okay, so I'm going to run Terraform plan. All right, so it's asking us here, it's going to ask two questions. The first one is which Azure region will you deploy to? So it's giving a couple examples here. I'm going to pick Sweden Central, but you could pick East US, you could pick UK South. Again, you've already determined that. Let's just try that again. Let's try that again. All right, Terraform plan. All right, let's paste. Nope, that's why. Let's make sure we copy and paste the correct thing here. So I'm going to copy this out. Okay, next input needed is the size of the virtual machine. We already have worked out what we want at this point. For this example, I'm going to select this one. It gives you an it gives you a pricing and a size here. So the 4-core, 8 gig of RAM costing that much per month. So I'm going to paste that in. Okay, let's go back to the documentation here. Each of the commands are in the guide, and you can compare the you know, from what yours looks like to the guide, etc. You can see I did this on East US earlier. But if you were to pick Canada here, which is wrong, that's the kind of message that you'll get, an error. So you'd have to pick Canada Central or Canada East. What we're looking for here is confirm that plan 10 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroyed is displayed here, and there's a plan 10. So that's what I'm expecting here. And I can see that I have here 10 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. Okay, so I'm good with that. I'm happy. Um, this is probably a good time just to go through and show you some of the things that we're actually doing in this script. So I'll just scroll to the top. So Terraform will perform the following actions. It will just deploy a Linux virtual machine. It'll give it the admin name of validator admin. The computer name will be validator. And then the size here, I think the region would be somewhere. Here's the region input that it's taking that we entered before. It creates a resource group with all the resources in it, rg-validator, and that's the size here. You can see the size of the VM. It's a 256 gig premium SSD. The SKU, I actually went for a 23.10 for Ubuntu, which is the latest. I'm running that currently as well with no problems. If we ever upgrade in the future from 22, which is what AWS's one is, then you won't need to because you're running the latest. There's some, oh, when I wrote out the part for the network interface, I turned on enable accelerated networking, so for better performance at the network level for the Azure instance. And also with the network security groups here, you don't have to configure any of the inbound traffic ports because I can pre-configure all those, allow 22 SSH, allow 30303, inbound 443, inbound 80, inbound, and then 5454 inbound from source, that, so you don't have to worry about that. Public IP is there, virtual network, and then we also do a validated key. It's quite nice. It pushes it locally, so your private key is just put in the downloads folder, so you don't have to do anything there either. So it's all automated. Okay, so the next step here is to actually deploy this. So I'm going to copy this main command here. Okay, so copy Terraform apply auto approve and hit enter. So I copy that and I go back here and I paste it here. And this is actually applying the plan. It's going to ask you for the same question, couple of input questions here, so I'll do that again. Same region, yes, Sweden Central, and then the size is going to be this again. Okay. You can compare the commands here if you want to follow along with the guide a bit closely. But the output, what I'm looking for here is in F is make sure apply complete resources 10. 10 is added. That's what I'm looking for in this green apply complete resources 10. That's what I'm looking for. But this might take a little while to deploy. All right, while that is deploying, I'm going to log on to the portal with this account. So it's going to be portal.azure.com, and hopefully I can just get straight in. Okay, great. Once you're in the portal, so once you're in the Azure portal, you're going to want to go to this all resources here. It's kind of this green checkerboard or column board. And you won't have to do this, but I'm going to have to do this here. And then under resources, group equals, drop that down, and you may see only one resource group here. Select that because it's going to be the resource group dash validator, and apply that. Okay, I can see now that there's three resources have been created so far. All right, I'll go back to all right. Let's just okay. So make sure apply complete resources 10 added. Apply complete 10 resources added. Good. All right. So step 6 here, or your validator is deployed to Azure with the following configuration. So pre-configured security network group with all the required ports. A static public IP bound, so static, it won't change. Public IP, and it's bound to the validator. You're going to need that. Key pair to securely SSH into your validator when needed. So there's a resource in the cloud that holds the public key. Azure Ubuntu VM with 4 vCPUs, 8 GB RAM, and a 256 premium SSD. And the last one here is this validator.pem file is downloaded locally. So if you go to your downloads folder, and then inside your downloads folder, if you go to Azure main, you'll see here there is a validator.pem. This wasn't there before. It was created through this install. And so that is an extremely important file for connecting to your real node when you set it up, or nodes. And so you're going to want to take a copy of that. You can leave it here, but you're also probably going to want to take a copy of that and not upload it to any iCloud or OneDrive or Dropbox. Really just keep that on maybe a stick at home, you know, a few copies of it. All right, so that's the PEM file. Let's minimize that. All right, so let's have a look in Azure, and I'll do a refresh here, and you should see more resources. Okay, so there is more resources in here. So these are all the resources that are just deployed, and this is your actual validator machine here. So I'll click on that. And you can see that there's running. It's running in Sweden Central like we asked it to be running in. The Linux is Ubuntu 23.10 like I said, and that's our standard FSv2, and that's the public IP address. All right, let's go back to the documentation here. All right, so I just showed you that, and that's what yours should look like. This one you can see is in East US, but the one I just demoed is in Sweden Central. The next steps in the process to connect and install some validator code. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, so after deploying your Azure instance successfully, review the commands and the following steps. Okay, so let's go back to our output. So I wrote an output file here that could give us some further instructions. On Windows, it says run 2 commands. Well, we're not on Windows. On Mac, run this first. Okay, so we're going to have to run this to change up the permissioning, secure the permissioning on that PEM file to not allow everyone access to it. So if we run that first, so on both Mac and Windows, run this command, adding your new public IP. Okay, so well, let's have a look, make sure we're at the documentation. So we've done our ch400, cmod, excuse me, 400 against the PEM file. Okay, so it looks like that. And here it says replace your public IP in text with your actual public IP that is detailed in the output, and then type yes to the question. Okay, so I think the easiest way to do this is just going to be to copy this here, and then I'm going to paste that down here. and then it says remove your public IP, which I've done. And then see how I dumped out in the output, I gave the actual public IP address of the Azure instance. So we can just copy that straight from here. Instead of having to look it up on the portal, it's there. Okay, so I think there was something that said if a question comes up, say yes, which is in the documentation. So I'm going to say yes there. And now we're attempting to connect, and I know that we've connected successfully here. All right, let's check the documentation here. Yep, you're now logged on to Azure, if you can see that. And yeah, as I said, the scope of this video was not to was to only deploy to Azure on Mac, not to install any of the onboarding. That will be next as you get called into the VoIP groups. So that's done. So you can take a look through the portal and look at you know, some of the resources further. So, but there's two more things I want to show you here. One is if you get the free account, which I introed with at $200 per month, you can leave this running. These resources that you deployed are not going to consume more than $200 in a month. Keep looking at the cost of it, but I really don't think they will. If you deploy this to an account that does not have $200 and you're waiting, then go and stop the instance. There's no reason for it to be running. So you want to come into the all resources here. You want to come down and find your validator virtual machine here. You want to click on that. And then you want to click this stop button here and then select yes, you want to stop your validator. And that's going to deallocate the instance, and it's going to, you know, save you a lot of money, or that's the majority of the cost is going to be the actual validator. So that was the first part. The second part is that if this is not in the documentation anyway, because it can be a little scary running this command, but if you make a mistake on the actual install, you can come back to your terminal window here, and you want to type exit to close the connection from your validator, so you're back within terminal now. I'm just going to clear that screen again. So I'm on my local Mac machine now. So what you can do is you can run a Terraform destroy, all right, and hit enter. You'll have to add the same two inputs, so Sweden Central, and you're going to have to add this exact, or your exact, whatever you added in these two values, whatever you put in these two values, you have to do the same. And the standout word here is destroy for Terraform. You're gonna wipe what you just deployed, if you needed to, if you made a mistake, or you were just testing Azure and you've decided on that you'll wait and do this again later on, you know, whatever you want to do. But this will go and automate the entire delete of everything, what you just deployed. So if I go back to the portal and look at all resources, and I go to the RG validator group, I apply that. So you can see there's 6 here. So what I'm going to expect to happen here, oh, there's one more question it's going to ask you actually, is yes. You're going to have to It's saying, do you really want to destroy all your resources here? Yes. So you gotta add all those two inputs, and then you gotta say yes, lowercase. And you can see it's destroying. It's destruction. So it's all deleting this. You don't want to obviously run this once you've got your real node running and it's on the chain. But this is just in testing. Okay, I'll just pause this and come back when it's finished. Okay, it's back and it said destroy complete resources 10 resources destroyed. Remember we were adding 10 before, so that makes sense. If I go back to the portal now and do a refresh, my expectation is there's going to be nothing in here. They're all gone, which is what I expect. They're gone. So you could then go through the steps to add this again and destroy it, back and forth. But all right, that was the steps on how to just deploy um, your validator through Terraform scripting via a Mac. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.